mother used to say I was contrary, meaning that anything she said I would instantly argue with, disagree with, try to dispute. Wondering in later years what would drive me to be like that to someone that I was very fond of, I recognized a few sad truths about myself and also a few useful truths about children in general. One is, and it covers both these topics, that I like attention. Oops. So apparently some mechanism in my mind had come to the conclusion that I could better get my mother's attention by contrary behavior than I could by complicit behavior. So sad for my mom. So I'm going to talk today about changelings. Changelings are creatures that are human looking. They are not very visible. You'll see them, but you won't realize they're not human. They're another species. Changelings. They look quite human. But they don't look human like in your face human. They're always somebody like at the edge of the photograph. Changelings. Now the traditional concept is that the changelings steal human babies and exchange them for their own. Rather like blue jays. Of course, the changelings assumedly eat the human babies. They have no reason to have them. But they give their own baby up to be raised by humans and thus perpetrate the next generation of changelings through the nurturing of humans. Humans apparently are more nurturing, changelings are more fecund. The ideas of the little people, the ideas of elves, other creatures that are man-like, that live not exactly among us, but in other places, that are coterminous with ours. You can run into the elves if you go into those woods over there. You can run into dwarves if you go through the rocks up in Avalon. You can But the changeling isn't a creature that has culture. Elves have culture. Dwarves have culture. All these other types in our mythologies that are more organized. They have culture. Dwarves are known for something. Tolkien knew things about the Norse culture that allowed him to see into the hearts of dwarves from the nature of the dwarven story, the Rheingold. It allowed him to see into the hearts of elves through the traditions of Freyr and the Vanir as opposed to the Aesir. But changelings are not any of those. Changelings aren't elves or dwarves. They're not heroes, not in that sense. They're not prodigal creatures from the age when man first opened his eyes, which is the understanding. That we are mere momentary distractions for the gods and for the heroes and for the great races. They're practically immortal from our point of view. So, these aren't changelings. Changelings are a different species of humanoid, very human-like. Apparently we can raise their children and think they're human. Maybe they have that patch of devil's hair on their back or some other identifying me mechanism or trope. Likely, if it were, we would just consider it within the human norm. But the idea is that the changeling child grows up and is difficult and fractious and never listens and never learns and can't really be made to do anything practical or useful, and eventually drifts off from its parental nurturing and becomes a wastrel, gradually reverting to type and becoming a changeling at the fringe of the photograph. at the end of the road full of people. Someone you don't notice, but might drop a baby off in your trundle bed. Um, and take yours. Now, that explains a lot, really. In my personal story, that explains a lot. My family are made of very interesting people, but they were pretty much all willing to pull on the traces together. And I was not. Never once. Those are the moments where I freak. Please don't make me like other people. It's a human flaw. It's mine. I feel many times as if I'm a wolf cub looking out at the fireplace, from the fireplace, at the humans around me. I mean, I understand their talk. It doesn't mean the same thing to me that it does to them. I'm comfortable. I'm glad I'm in the association of humans, but I'm a wolf cub. I want to run those planes in my sleep. Rabbit, rabbit, ooh, ooh, right. That's my thing. I don't want to build houses and dam rivers and create Detroit out of the need for military arms. Look how well that's worked. As though I am a changeling child. I mean, I have the same color eyes as my parents, but one of my sisters was a blonde, absolutely a blonde. One of my sisters was a brunette, absolutely a brunette. I'm a redhead. We all had the same eyes. Not quite the same as our parents' eyes, but all three of our eyes were the same. However, in every other way, I was unlike my parents. They loved art. I'm an artist. My sisters were not just enamored of music, they approached it in a professional manner. I couldn't do that. My piano teacher came to my parents after, what was it, 6 weeks of lessons once a week, and says, look, folks, your kid can't be trained. And he was right. The lessons I had to learn to get here, where I can play piano better than he could. And it wasn't easy, and he was good. Pretty much indicate that he was right. Because it took me applying everything I could be to this one job I was no good at and could never be any good at. And I managed to find relevance with it because I have a gift of poetry. And what's a song? If it has lyrics, it's musical poetry. Unless it's, well, it can be bad poetry, but it's still, a song has three elements: rhythm, harmony, and melody. And if the melody is expressed in lyric, well, you could call that four things, but it's really three, because it's musical poetry, and the lyric is poetry. And it's also the melody. So whether you blow the melody on a saxophone or a singer sings words to the melody, it's pretty much the same thing. Those are the three elements of a song: rhythm, harmony, melody. If you lack one, you don't have a song. You have another sort of artwork, but it's not a song. Calling it a song is like calling a guy in a pair of tennis shoes a race, because you're missing the essential elements, or an essential element. You got all the racers, but you don't have the starting guy. You have the starting guy, but the racers aren't ready to race. It's something. But in every case, my knowledge, my wisdom, my mistakes, my crap-headedness have all come from this tendency for me to be contrary, as my mother called it. Someone says, the sky is blue. I look out the window because what if they're lying to me? Do I need to doubt them instantly? Why do I think I need to doubt whatever anyone says instantly? On the contrary. Where does that contrariness arise? From whence doth that contrariness arise, I ask thee? I don't know. But if you are conversant with the concept of the changeling, if it's part of your cultural tradition, then the barriers of your belief are lowered. And you could say, oh my gosh, that child is a changeling child. Now, my joke on it is that my mother and father used to argue, and she'd say, he's your son, Bernard. He'd say, he's your son, Gene. They'd look at each other and go, the milkman. But I embody the concept of the changeling in terms of the fractious child that no one can control, that cannot contribute to the well-being of the family or the social unit or the anything, in any kind of coherent way. And that makes it very good for me to be alone. But I have no desire to go into anyone else's family and make changes. I want them all to be happy. I don't want to be part of someone's family in a negative way. I want to be a friendly member of human society, even though, in my mind, I'm a wolf cub looking out from the fire saying, well, this is okay. It's not wolves, but it's okay. And that happened. That's how we got dogs. So maybe I'm not exactly a changeling, but I sure do fit a lot of the particulars up to a certain point. And at that point, I found that my art could be used to connect me to the society of the humans around me, to allow me relevance and the feeling that I'm interacting in real time with a real society. Without that, I would still be a wolf cub. Maybe I'd be polite, funny, interesting if I could be, but not feeling like I'm part of anything. I'm just sitting at the fire because it's convenient and people are feeding me. Thank you so much. I'm not their enemy, but I don't feel part of it in the same way they do. If I wake up in the morning sometime and the whole of the camp has moved on, I'll be like, well. And I might pad along after them, or I might decide to go somewhere else. I don't know. A human baby would be ready to pick up with them and go with them. Changeling baby, it would know. It would argue. I don't want to go. I don't want to be. I don't want to agree. I don't want to accede. But a wolf cub might weigh those factors. Well, they fed me junk and I liked it. And I get to sit by the fire. Sometimes somebody petted me, rubbed my belly. Or, I smell rabbit. Whereas a changeling would be dragged along by his parents, of course, because parents feel responsible often, and then eventually forced to let go because they didn't have the resources to deal with that kind of a fractious, resistant element inside their family group over and over again every day, and this is what you have to deal with instead of all the important stuff. Yeah, I know what it's like to be a problem child. I could still be one. There are people that think I'm still one. But what I see is that I have turned many of the qualities of that changeling child into those that are acceptable for the society. And the ones that aren't as in tune with society's uses are not ones that I am harming. I'm not doing anything wrong. It's so pleasurable. But I'm not acting against my society. I'm acting in support of it. I am part of a healthy society, as healthy as it is. I'm glad to be. I never thought it would happen. Changeling child, I don't think ever feels part of the society. And I'm starting to feel part of the society. I mean, these are end life scenarios. I'm getting old. But still, man, it's such a different feeling from all the years where I was, in my mind, I was the wolf cub. Look out for the cartwheel. Look, here comes a car. Somebody's petting me. That's nice. And now, and now I'm almost a human. I got a song that talks about it. I'm hiding in cracks with the world on my back. I'm simple and easy and so hard to see. I'm almost complete from my head to my feet, and I don't need your eyes to validate me. I walk my own road and I carry a load of madness like you won't believe. I'm generous and kind in the fields of my mind, but I fall prey to a little uncertainty. Boy, does that describe how I'm not quite in sequence, in sync with reality. Huh. The changeling, the concept of the changeling, the creature that's not quite human, that exchanges its baby for yours. And that baby will never be a part of your society because it isn't your kind. Wow. And here, as though the wolf cub has become a dog, as though the leopard has changed its spots, as though the changeling has somehow learned to join human society. I was willing to wait almost 70 years for that. The feeling that it might be happening is indescribable.